Hello and welcome to my video on my game. Let's start with the map. For the map, I started in Paint and made the layout. I then whiteboxed the map. As you can see, I also used the terrain tool to make the map, and used the water plugin to make the river in the center. Here is an example of me using the terrain tool. I used the paint tool to texture the map. I took pictures and used Photoshop to edit them to be suitable for the terrain. I did this with 3 textures: dirt, stone and grass. This is what the finished product looks like. The models you see for the buildings and the trees are took from the internet and are referenced in the README file. To attack, you left click on the mouse, and to cast Fireball, you right click. To move, you use WASD. And spacebar to jump. And to roll, you click Shift. However, you can only use roll once you've unlocked it at the shop. You can also control the game using a controller. Left joystick for movement, right to control the camera, and A to jump. Right trigger attacks and left cast Fireball, and left bumper is to roll. I did this by changing and adding action mapping and axis mapping in project settings, and then used it in the player blueprint. The pause menu is brought up by clicking tab or up on the D-pad. However, if you are close to an NPC that is not an enemy, it will bring up their UI instead. To get out of the menu, you can press the pause button again. Now, onto the enemies. For the enemies, I modelled both of them. The golem I modelled in Maya, and the slime I modelled in Blender. For the textures of the models, I use Adobe Substance 3D Painter. I use Mixer Mode to animate the golem, the player, and all NPCs that are friendly. I use Blender to animate the slime. I made the sounds of the game using Audacity. Here's an example of an enemy noise. This is the slime attacking. I made these sounds by recording normal sounds like scraping a knife against a fork, and changed the pitch and laid them on top of each other. I made sounds for the player or golem walking, the player swinging their sword, the slime walking, the slime and golem getting hits, the golem and slime attacking, the start of the flame spell, and the sound of the flame while it's active. Most sounds in the game have a range to them, so it will get quieter the further the player is to them. The enemy's health and damage change depending on their level and what enemy they are. A slime's health is their level times 20, their damage is their level times 5, while a golem's is times 40 for their health and times 10 for the damage. The enemy's level and type changes depending on the spawner level that they were spawned at. If the spawner is level 1, it will only spawn slimes, otherwise it's a chance out of spawner level out of 5 to spawn golems instead of slimes. Meanwhile, the level of the enemy is determined by getting a random number from spawner level to spawner level plus 3. As you can see, the player cannot pass the bridge until they are level 10, so this makes it so that as they slowly explore the map, the difficulty increases. As the further away you get from the spawn, which is in the bottom left, the higher the spawner level is. If the enemies get hit by the player, they stop what they are doing and get stunned, and an animation plays. This happens the other way around as well. I use blend spaces to do the walking animations for both the golem and the player. The enemy's AI is controlled by a behavior tree that both enemies share. There I use NavMesh Brown's volumes to pathfind to either a random location or to follow the player. Now onto the fireball. I used a picture of the sun that I found online, referenced in the README file, and cropped it in Photoshop. I then made a shader out of it with 2 parameters that could be changed elsewhere. These are changed in the Fireball blueprint, where the rotation speed is changed randomly between 0.01 and 0.2. The colour also goes randomly darker or lighter. The texture is also used in another material that is used for a fire particle system, shown on the screen. This is the effect it creates. Demon Castle ruins are lit in a way that they are always in darkness, and the sky has been made to be more cloudy. When you enter the Demon Castle, fog appears on the screen. These things have been added to make a gloomy atmosphere. To make the fog, I got a picture of some fog from the internet, referenced in the README file, and cropped it in Photoshop. Then I made a material using it, and then added the material to a process volume. There are two places music plays, in the menus and in an area around the shop. The UI consists of a start screen and end screen, a shop where you can upgrade your stats and get abilities, a UI where you go to win if you have enough money, and UI for telling the guard you are high enough level. There is also a pause screen, a death screen, and a HUD that shows you your level, XP, gold, and health. All are interactable besides the HUD, where it just shows you the data. There is also a splash screen for loading. I used GitHub for a version control tool when making my game. The story of this game is you owe money to a noble and he forces you to go to this area to slay monsters to pay off your debt. The area is where an ancient city once stood, of demons, and their main castle is still intact. The golems in the area are said to be built by the demons to protect the land. The gameplay reflects the story as you kill monsters to earn money and buy your freedom at the guard at the front to win. However, you can also use this money to buy upgrades to your stats at the shop. Once you max out a stat, you can get an ability such as a roll or lifesteal, but it will reset that stat to 0. Once you buy your freedom, you are displayed a score at the end of the screen. This is determined by your level and XP. Thank you for watching my video.